Hi guys, it's Sin. I just wanted to go over a few things as far as my coaching goes and let you know what I do. So for 12 years, I have been a holistic health and wellness coach, and my focus back then was about sustainable weight loss, um, kind of preventative care, keeping disease away, disorders away, just by maintaining a healthy diet, nutrition, workout, and maintain as stress-free lifestyle as possible. Now, in this world, in this day and age, it's almost impossible to be stress-free, right? We all have responsibilities. We have bills and mortgages and rents, and we have businesses. Some are successful, some are struggling, and I've changed my focus going through my own healing journey. And I did have a spiritual awakening, which was amazing. I still continue to have them. There's many of them that can happen. So still learning all of my gifts and learning how to use them. But in the meantime, what I've done is with my coaching is change the focus to more of women's mental health. Self-love. I'm a huge advocate for self-love, and I've had to learn how to love myself. And that is not an easy thing to do, especially coming from, old conditionings, having, parents that aren't super supportive of every decision that you make. But my main goal and focus here is to help and assist women who are looking to advance their personal goals as far as achieving optimum health and lifestyle. As women, we're multitaskers. We're always taking care of everybody else, right? The kids come first, the husbands, the wives, our partners. Sometimes the tire comes first. Sometimes the dog comes first. Our grandparents or our parents, or whatever our situation is. And it's helped me a lot to kind of step back and remove myself from some of these situations where I was feeling a lot overwhelmed. We tend to put a lot on our plate, especially as empaths. Women are very, they're big time nurturers. We're mama bears, and we want to protect the people that we love. And we generally will put everyone else's needs, wants, and desires before our own. So with that being said, that's where my focus for coaching is headed. And I didn't have so much of that assistance when I first started my spiritual awakening. Well, I didn't start it, it started me. It has completely changed my life, and it's been amazing, and it's caused me to develop a lifestyle that's very peaceful for me. I don't experience a lot of stress because I have removed myself from a lot of the situations that were causing the stress. So it's really about our circumstances. And one of the statements that have stuck in my head, and I don't know if anybody has heard of Joe Dispenza, but he is an amazing, a magical person. And he's really helping society be able to kind of wake up to some of the conditionings that we've been conditioned with as children growing up into adulthood, right? So one of the statements that he said that really stuck with me, and I saw this on a show on Netflix, and I can't remember the exact name of it. It might have been Heal, but there's a few of them on Netflix. It's really cool. He said, your personality is your personal reality. And when I heard that, I said, I have to share that. I have to share that. I have to mention that. I'm a huge advocate of that. And when I heard it, I said, wow, okay, so before, my personality was very chaotic, right? I was married. I had 2 kids with my husband, and I had a bonus child. He was 18 months old when he came into my life, and we only had him every other weekend. And our life was chaotic. It was, my husband volunteered as a coach for baseball, so we were doing the baseball practice 3 or 4 days a week. We had games at least, on the weekends. They were in pony ball, so a lot of times it was Saturday and Sunday, so there was really no break from any of that. And so we had like fast food dinners or snack bar dinners, or we would just eat French fries or snacks, which was never a really good thing. But we were, loading everybody up in the Suburban, baseball bags and baseball bats, and taking them in batting cages and just running around all over the place, and also working full time. So during that time, I had so much chaos in my life. It was so busy that it reflected in my personality as well, right? So you're like super unorganized. You're trying to make a snack bar list. Like, the parents of these kids all have to volunteer in the snack bar. And you're trying to get these parents to volunteer. Nobody wants to volunteer because it's free. But every team has to volunteer, 4 hours or something like that for the season. And trying to get parents to do this. So you're trying to do that, and you've got a snack schedule going on, and you've got a schedule for games and practices, and then you have to participate in all those. So I don't want to overwhelm anybody by saying all this, right? That is just baseball. I've got some of you out there that have ballet, you got dance, you've got multiple children that are in multiple different things. And when we've got that going on, our life is chaotic, right? So I think about my past, and I think about where I was at before and where I'm at now. And I've been able to change my reality. And my personality has changed too. So I'm so much more calmer because I've changed my reality to, basically living like this, right? So this is just my room, my work room. This is my massage bed. I do lash extensions. Is my primary income right now. Coaching is an income of mine. I stopped doing coaching a couple years ago. I had a very close friend of mine that I was coaching for a while that passed away of cancer, and it was hard on me. He was only 38 years old and left behind 2 kids, and it was a difficult thing for me because I know that there was things that I could do to help him. Cancer is one of those things that it's not prejudice, and it takes over, and if you don't do anything about it, it metastasizes really, really quickly, and then you want to start doing things to prevent it or make it worse, and sometimes it gets too far. So I took some time away from my coaching and then all that happened too during the time that we were in COVID. He passed away during COVID, right after his 38th birthday. And so, that kind of severed some things. Clients weren't able to afford to pay for coaching. And, so I just let it sit back for a second and kind of grieve over that situation and my friendship with him. But when I decided to start doing coaching again, it was after my spiritual awakening, which happened during COVID. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I was forced to stay home, but I'm not at all by any means grateful for COVID. That was a very devastating time, and a lot of people have been affected by that, and it's been very traumatic for our country. And the end result, for me, being forced to stay home because I was, running my own business, going home, making dinner, taking a shower, getting ready for work the next day, making sure the kids are okay. You've got, one kid that's out working and another kid that's at home at school, and you've got homework and you've got these things going on. And then all of a sudden that stops, it changes, right? What do you do with yourself? Like, I didn't know what to do with myself during that time. So I decided to start taking a Reiki course online, which was really huge. It really helped me a lot to learn how to be aware. It helped me to, meditate, and how to become still with myself, quiet the mind, how to go within. That wasn't an easy thing, and that's all guided meditation that did that, because I during that time I was seeking assistance. I needed the help. I had no idea like why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I had no idea like why I was thinking certain things that normally I wouldn't be thinking about. Meaning like things would just start coming out of my, things just start coming out of my mouth. Like when I first started this video, I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I think that once I start talking, then I'm fine. And it just starts coming to me. Right. So, I took the Reiki course, and I've been working on that for 2 years. I don't know how long we've been out of COVID. We're going on 20, 21, 20, maybe 3 years now. And I've practiced it on myself, and I've practiced it on my animals. But getting back to our reality is I started creating a more peaceful lifestyle for myself during that time, because it became peaceful for me. I didn't have any external places that I needed to be. I had no phones to be answering. I had no appointments to be making. I had nowhere to be. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Working since I was 15 and a half years old, and we won't say how many years that is. But it's a long time. And I've been licensed through the state of California for 32 years. And I've never had time off. You go on a little vacation here or there, but maybe a week, right? A week, maybe once every 2 years. I haven't been on an actual vacation since before COVID. So it was 2017, I went to Cabo, and that's the last vacation I've been on. So we just create our own reality. And when you create a reality for yourself, your personality is going to start kind of mirroring that. So if you have chaos in your life, your personality is going to be chaotic, and that's going to bring you stress. That's going to throw off hormones. That's going to throw off your body chemistry. It's going to throw off your appetite. Everything is connected. Everything that we eat, everything that we drink, everything that we think is all connected to our brain, our gut. And our brain talks to our gut talks to our brain, right? But it's mostly our brain talking to our gut. Our gut talking to our brain. So I've changed some nutrition habits that I had, and I've been drinking alkaline for about 15, 16 years now, which is awesome. I'll show you what that is. I just keep refilling this bottle, but I buy these bottles at the health food store. And this is a big bottle too. Let's see how many ounces. This is 50 fluid ounces. It's 1 quart. And I filled this up at 11 o'clock today, and this is where I'm at. I should have had this gone by now and on the second one. But that's okay. I only drink about 70 ounces a day on average. I try not to over drink it. But the alkaline water really helps balance out the acids that are in our bodies. So our bodies are made of water, and that it's very acidy, right? So the alkaline has magnesium and potassium. It has good minerals in it, and it alkalines out the acid that's in the body, right? And then it also promotes healthy blood cells, and it's very difficult for cancer to attack healthy blood cells. Cancer attacks unhealthy blood cells. So drinking alkaline water really helps the body a lot. It's not that much more expensive than regular bottled water. I go to a water store, and this is an ionized alkaline. It just has a little bit more vitamin in it, and it tastes really good, and it's good. So, and it detoxes the body, right? It goes right through you. A lot of people won't drink water because, I have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes, but you really need to get that out of your system and, get all that acid out of there and detox that. So as far as nutrition goes, I drink the alkaline water. Pretty much that's it. And I drink hot tea. I love rose tea. Rose tea is very good for depression and anxiety. It's very calming tea. I drink that a lot in the morning. And then I'll drink like a chamomile lavender sleepy time tea at home at night before I'm ready to go to bed. And literally like 2 cups of that. I use 1 tea bag and I just refill it the second time. And it's a little bit weaker, but it tastes so delicious. And it really helps a lot. And as far as being, you know, a woman's mental health advocate, I've been able to pull myself out of my own mental health. Not an easy thing to do. I was on medication. I probably got on a depressant medication probably around the age of 30-ish. And I gained quite a bit of weight with that, maybe about 35 pounds. I craved like sweets. I wanted pies, pastries, cookies, everything like that every morning. I'd want it before I went to bed. And I didn't associate that with the medication. So I was on Lexapro and Celexa during my 30s. And the medication at first was really difficult because it made me really groggy, it takes a little bit of time to get into your system, and it affects you, right? I remember being at my desk. I used to work 2 jobs. I used to sell insurance. So I'd be at my desk and I'd get so like sleepy, like heavy, sleepy. My eyes would get so sleepy and heavy that it actually hurt. So I would just lay my head down on the desk for a few minutes and out. So then, because the doctor told me to take it in the morning. So I'm like, I can't do this. So I started taking it at night, and that really helped me out a lot. So eventually following that was, you know, Xanax. Love Xanax. I'm not going to lie. Xanax is amazing. It worked really well. I was on the low dose. And the low dose, I would even cut that in half because I felt like, you know, like too much of I don't even want to use the word zombie, but too much out of it. Like my personality didn't come out. I was just like, all the time. So then I went into premenopause, like at 42 years old, and they still had me on the antidepressants. They still had me on the Xanax. And my hormones were all over the place. I was like, you know, there's a dish in the sink, and I'm like, why can't people just clean up after themselves? I don't want to go home, you know, come home from working all day and deal with other people's, you know, mess. And I would just kind of like talk to myself, walk through the house, bitching about, you know, all kinds of crap that was going on that I didn't like. And it became to the point where everybody didn't like me. I didn't like myself. And it took me a while to figure that out. So I went to a PA who is more, well, I thought she was more on the natural side, but she gave me a prescription. So at the time I was premenopausal. My hormones are going everywhere. I don't like my husband at the time. And I'm really short fused. You know, I would get upset easily. And finally realizing like, okay, there's something wrong with me. I need to go and see what this is all about. So I did. And you know what? I left with another prescription of Xanax, and I left with a prescription of Ambien. So I go home and I take the medicine. And, you know, of course the Xanax is nice, but I've never experienced the Ambien. But Ambien was great. It really helped me sleep really, really well. I was having a lot of insomnia at the time. And it helped me get through it. But there was a time that I wasn't super happy with my husband, and, you know, we went to bed. And I woke up the next morning and he was all like giddy and huggy and kissing my neck. And he's like, oh man, last night was so much fun. I'm so glad that you're not mad at me anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm still mad at you. He's like, what do you mean after that? You're still mad at me? I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so we had intimacy and I didn't remember it. I remember vaguely, I thought it was a dream, but I did wake up feeling a bit different. You know, when you've been intimate with somebody, you feel different. So I'm like, screw that, man. I don't want to be, you know, having intimacy with my husband and not remember it. Like that's a fun thing to do, right? And you want to remember that and you want to enjoy that. So I took the Ambien and I flushed it down the toilet. Um, I shared that story with a couple of my friends, and they were sharing with me stories about them as well, because I've got a lot of people that are my age and going through perimenopause and postmenopause and stuff. And it's really interesting how Ambien can make you hallucinate. So you can have hallucinations with Ambien. There's people that have gotten in their cars, gone to the grocery store, and don't remember. They wake up the next morning with the groceries on the counter. You got the receipt. It shows you the time, shows you where they went, and they can't believe it. There's other stories where women have had intimacy as well with their husbands or their partners, and they don't remember it. So I think that that's not a good thing, at least not for me. Some people like that. Just be super careful. You cannot drive with that. You don't remember a thing. I don't even know how you can drive safely under a hallucination, but that's something that I don't want to find out. So a long story short, I basically took myself off of all medication. When I was ready to get off the depressant medication and stuff, I went to my PA because my normal family doctor wasn't available. And when I went to my family doctor and I had discussed about coming off of the antidepressant, at the time, I don't remember if it was Celexa or Lexapro, was one of the two. And I was telling him my concerns, and he's like, well, just, if you don't want to take it anymore, just stop taking it. I'm like, okay. So I was still having a little bit of issues, and I went back and I saw the PA, and I was talking to her about that, and she's like, you can't really do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to wean yourself off of antidepressants. So why don't I give you a Xanax instead of being on those depressants? We'll give you a Xanax, and you can kind of just take that when you feel overwhelmed, because I didn't feel like I truly had depression. I had a lot of anxiety, which went untreated. And then that turned more into like a depression, right? So they thought, it's not always depression. It's a lot of it is our circumstances. A lot of it is our choices that we make and living through that consequence of that. So say for instance, I have a 3-bedroom house, right? And I have a bedroom that's free. So, okay, I'll let my nephew come in and stay for 2 or 3 months till he gets ahead of himself. And here it is 3 years later and they're still there, right? So it's things that are like that are out of our control. I don't remember where I was going with that, but it really caused a lot of anxiety for me, right? So I did that for a little while with the Xanax, and then I quit everything. And jumping back ahead, when I went to my post premenopause or my premenopause, we did a bunch of blood work and figured out where all my levels were at, and that's how she determined what to give me as far as Ambien and Xanax goes. And then I stopped taking that, and I just started focusing on myself. And shortly after that, we shut down for COVID, and I had no medications. I only had, like, I ate fruits, I ate vegetables. When I was on, when we were shut down for COVID, I downloaded an app called Calm, the Calm app. And Tamra is the narrator on most of those, and her voice is just super soothing. So I'd just go out in the backyard. I got a yoga mat I got on Amazon because they were delivering. And I started doing meditations in the backyard, just laying in the backyard and just putting my earbuds in and listening to the guided meditation. And she really kind of focuses on mindfulness and awareness, and that was great because that's what I really needed to know. I needed to know mindfulness and awareness so that I can change my circumstance around me, right? Until we're aware of what's going on or we're mindful of all of this, then we kind of get lost in all of that until we know what to do, right? So, navigating through all this on my own and learning, what brings me peace and what doesn't bring me peace, and how I'm going to remove myself from those situations that steals and robs me of my peace. And at the time, during COVID, my son lived there, his girlfriend lived there, and she was pregnant. And then I had my husband's son, his nephew, his stepson. I mean, we had a house full, his sister, and there was just a lot of energies going on. And people just weren't really getting along that great. It's difficult when you live with younger people, or other people that don't respect your home in the same way that you do. You work really hard for it, and then you get upset, and then they react to that. And so it was just kind of like that, going back and forth. So I just chose to kind of like slowly just move myself. And if a situation came up, I went and grabbed my yoga mat. I went in the backyard and I put my earbuds in so I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. I laid there in the sun and closed my eyes. And they're only like 10 or 12-minute meditations. And that's what I started off with. And then during COVID, I got E. coli food poisoning. Figure that, right? The restaurants were allowed to stay open. So I got in the car and I went through the drive-thru and I got myself a taco and a chili relleno because I wanted to try something different, step outside of the box and do something different. I do not really care for chili rellenos that much. I don't really like eggs that much, but I thought, what the hell, let's try something different. It wasn't the chili relleno that got me, it was the taco. The taco is fully manhandled. The meat, the lettuce, the tomato, the cheese, everything that they put in it. And I had E. coli food poisoning for over 3 weeks, to the point where I was throwing up so much that my aorta was contracting and wanting to continue to throw up. It wouldn't stop, and it was very painful. So after 2 visits to the urgent care, the third time they kept me there because I was super dehydrated. They kept me there until I can take down, because everything that I was putting in my body, even the anti-nauseous medication that they had given me, I was throwing up and releasing. So it was probably the worst time, one of the worst times of my life. And the only thing that brought me relief during that time was taking baths. And I was blessed to have a nice big jacuzzi tub. And when we bought the house, there was a TV on the wall, a small little like 13-inch TV. So I would put on some Netflix and watch a movie and just sit in the bathtub. And then eventually I stopped turning the TV on, and I was like, well, I should meditate in the bathtub. So I started meditating in the bathtub and putting on the Calm app. And then before COVID was shut down, I was going to church. And I thought that, well, since we can't go to church, maybe I'll find, something on YouTube that will kind of help me connect myself with God, who is my higher power. And I did that. So Above Inspiration was a big channel for me. And there's a couple other ones. If I can remember them, I'll mention it. But Above Inspiration was one of the first ones, and I really like that channel a lot. And it got me more connected with God, where I was meditating to that and I was closing my eyes to that, and things just started happening for me. Like I was getting like visions. I was getting really into the words. I was getting really into the direction and the assistance and the guidance that I was being directed towards just by listening to, I guess they're kind of like sermons. I don't know. They're just a bunch of different preachers, and they kind of mash it all up together with different preachers. And Joyce Meyer was one of the first ones that really helped open up my ears and eyes to a lot of the behaviors that I was doing. Joyce Meyer is amazing. So I highly recommend listening to her, because she has all of her videos are based off of real life. So it talks about like you know, how she was angry, that she would slam doors, she'd slam cabinets and drawers and stomp around the house. And that was the only way that she could show her anger. That's the only way she knew how. Until, you know, she started getting more into the word, because her husband, like, would tell her, like, cast your cares, cast your cares. And it just kind of stuck with me. She'd keep saying, like, you need to cast your cares. So a situation would come up and I would just pause for a second and close my eyes and just ask to take the situation into God's hands, and I would cast my care to him. So in the bathtub, I started doing these baths because, you know, I got a coli poisoning and I don't feel good. I'm weak, super, super weak, to the point where I can't barely walk up and down the stairs. And I'm a really strong, physically strong person. I don't have the most endurance, but I can endure quite a bit. My pain threshold is, you know, I can tolerate a lot, because I was raised that way, to tolerate a lot. So I can absorb it. And so I got into the bathtub and I started doing these baths. And then eventually, when I was ordering groceries, I would order some Epsom salt, or I would order, you know, some baking soda. And I just started learning little things. And I didn't really know why I wanted to put Epsom salt in. I just always heard that Epsom salt was great. Soak in the bathtub and it takes your pains and aches away, and it's just very soothing and calming. And so I thought, well, that would be a great idea. And then I put like some lavender essential oil in there. I light some candles. You know, during that time, I was also a big fan of 420. So that kind of helped really open up my mind. It helped relax my mind. It helped relax my thinking, and really be able to focus on the words that I was listening to in my ears. And it really helped me out. So then I didn't know why I was doing all that, and it just brought me relief, and that's why I continue to do it. So during that time, I was probably I would spend like 4 to 6 hours actually in the bathtub, and I would let some of the water out and put more hot water in, and just listening to YouTube constantly. And I was seeking external guidance because I didn't have anybody helping me. I didn't have any mentors that were above me or had experience, not really above me, but had more experience than me, to basically tell me like what I'm going through, right? So one day I was listening to my YouTube, and I was in the bathtub, and something really magical happened. And I was in the tub, and I like the worship music, Christian worship music. And I was listening to a song by Hillsong, which is a worship group. And they have a song called Surrender. And I've never told anybody this. And listening to that song, it brought salt to my eyes. You know, I was crying. I was going through, you know, what I call now a tower moment, but at the time I didn't know why I was crying. I didn't know what it meant. All I knew is that this song highly touched me at that moment. And I was urged to basically go under the water and baptize myself. And so I did. I went under the water and I stayed there for a couple seconds, and then I came back up. And when I did that, I felt like, wow, like so much has melted off of me. Cast your cares, right? So I was so in awe of this happening that I recorded a video of what just happened, me in the bathtub, my hair all wet, no makeup on, and I look horrible because I'm sick with E. coli. And I sent it to a super good close friend of mine. And she's the only one that's ever seen that video besides me. And then I ended up deleting the video because I don't know why I did, but eventually I deleted that video. I don't regret it. There's a reason why. And I don't know what the reason is yet, but I did share it with one person. When I got out of the bathtub that day and I started drying off, I felt the presence of God. I felt the presence of ancestors. I felt the presence of my dad, my brother, my grandmother. Those are my loved ones who have passed on. And I've never felt them before, even though spiritually I know they are around me. But I was never, I didn't really tune in to that because I had all this other stuff going on. And when you have all these distractions going on, I didn't attune to that. So I honestly just started dancing. I started singing on the top of my lungs, the songs. I mean, it was the worship songs and King of Kings. I love, and this song Surrender has stuck with me, and I listen to it pretty much every Sunday. On Sundays, I listen to worship music. I don't go to church anymore. I think organized religion is great for people, and it did help me. I went to church every Sunday and it helped me, and the energy in there is really good and I love it. I do go to church every so often, but I don't go on a regular basis. I kind of just do my own. And somebody in church, before COVID shut down, when I went back to church, I couldn't keep my eyes dry. It hit me so hard. I was healing so much, and church helped me heal through a lot of that. And when I would go to church, I would sit down and I would just cry. And the songs would come on and I would just cry and cry and cry and just let it all out. And I was probably going maybe a couple of months. And I always sit by myself because I'd go by myself. Nobody would go with me. And all of a sudden one day, this lady comes up to me, and there's nobody, there's like 12 seats in the aisle. And I'm kind of like 3 or 4 seats in because there's a post there and I couldn't see. So her and her husband come and they want to sit down next to me. And I'm like, sure, absolutely, you can sit down. And as her husband passes me in the aisle, so I kind of like, back up and let her pass. She grabs a hold of me and hugs me and whispers in my ear, "Those who have leaky eyes have the most tender hearts." And she held me for a minute. I mean, she held me. It felt like forever. And I've never met her before. Never seen her before. And I said, thank you. And she sat down next to me. And then we go through the whole introduction and everything. And then eventually, before they get started for the service, they get you to stand up and say hello to everybody around you and shake hands, right? So I shook her hand and I introduced myself as Cindy, and she introduced herself as Faith. Her name was Faith. So we sit down, we finish, the service and everything, and before you know it, because I meditate a lot, so I close my eyes during service and I really absorb what's being said. I absorb the energy that's in there, in the room. It just feels so good. You feel all the love. And I go, she's gone, right? Her and her husband, I guess they walked the other way. They didn't pass me. And, everybody gets up and says hello and they visit for a little bit. And she was just gone. I went to that church for 4 years and I've never seen her again. Never have seen her again. She had dark hair, very pretty, middle-aged woman. I have no idea. That was a huge shift for me. She was brought to do that. She was brought to cross my path and for me to feel that. She had a message for me, and that's that message that she whispered to me in my ear. And there's times I went to church looking for her because she made such a huge impact on me that day. And I've never seen her. So since then, I went to church for a long time, and we were shut down for COVID. I kind of started doing my own thing, and I really like that. Um, I do go every once in a while. I probably go maybe once a month, but I take my church. I learned there that God is within me. God is inside of me, and that walking the same path and doing the right thing with unconditional love and kindness behind all of everything that I do, that I know that I'm honoring my God. And I also follow universal law. So universal law is about putting out, you get back what you put out there. So whether it's a thought, it's a word, it's an action, it's a behavior, if you behave badly to somebody else, or you treat somebody else badly, that's going to come back to you, probably worse. And you may not even know that that's what it is, but it's called karma. And in my world, I believe that universal law and God are all kind of combined together, because it's so similar to what we read in the Bible as far as what God wants us to follow, right? He wants us to be kind. He wants us to love unconditional. He wants us to love ourselves unconditional. And when we love ourselves unconditional, we fill our own cups, and it overflows to our family and our friends and our coworkers. And, it's just about showing kindness and love and being at peace with yourself, and releasing, angry emotions, and healing the inner child, healing the inner adult, healing the inner person. And we all have the ability to heal ourselves. And I had no idea. Like, the effects of my childhood, how it would affect me as an adult, how it would affect me in my relationships, how that anger that I didn't really have as a child, because I was, I wasn't allowed to show that, it came out as an adult. And it wasn't pretty. I'll be honest, yeah. And I didn't like that side of me. And that side of me was definitely my mother coming out. My mother coming out of my mouth, coming out in my behaviors, coming out in my actions. And I am not my mother. My mother is my mother. I am sin. I'm myself. And it's time for me to stop being that people pleaser. Stop trying to be that person that everybody else wanted me to be. Being shut down, and you're a kid, so you're to be seen and not heard. You're to respect your elders. You're not allowed to talk back. You're not allowed to share your feelings. Like, if I didn't like an outfit that she got me for Christmas, I wasn't allowed to tell her I didn't like it. It was you be grateful that you got it. And I am. Don't get me wrong, but there's times when it's okay to show your emotion. It's okay to feel the way that you feel about something, and it's not anybody else's place to tell you not to be. And so, getting back to the healing bath, it is a healing bath, the baths that I was taking, and I connected with my loved ones, and I felt like I connected with God, and that they were in the room with me. And I had a fairly large bathroom. I don't live in that house right now, but we still own that house. But I don't live in it. The bathtub was a huge thing. I probably spent a good year in that bathtub. Every single night I came home. During COVID, it was every single day. Even after I recovered from E. coli, I was in the bathtub. And then shortly after I got E. coli, I got... I got E. coli food poisoning in August. Then come January, I had a viral infection, and I had no idea what the heck that was, right? So I spent 6 hours in the emergency room, hooked up to all kinds of machines, getting all kinds of testing done. I had 103 fever for 4 days. And finally I decided to go into urgent care to find out what was going on, and urgent care sent me directly to the ER. So they hooked me up. They basically came back after 6 hours and said, we can't find anything wrong with you, but we know there's something wrong with you. You got the fever. So they brought the fever down. I wasn't dehydrated. I had plenty of hydration. But they asked me, they said, the only thing that we can think of that could be it is a viral infection. And I said, what the heck is a viral infection? They said, well, how much stress are you under? And I said, wow, okay. They said, basically, your body can only handle so much stress. And then your body starts kind of shutting down a little bit. And that's what was going on. So I was like, holy moly. I'm not on medications at the time. I was sicker and weak as I've ever been with E. coli. And then this came along and I was weak again. And I'm like, something's trying to take me down. So I had to make a lot of changes. So that's where the meditation came in. That's where the baths came in. I knew that when I took a nice hot bath, it soothed me, it relaxed me, and it was private. I was upstairs. I was able to lock my bedroom door. My daughter couldn't bother me. My husband, the animals, nobody can come in and bother me during that time. If they wanted me, they would have to call me on my phone because that's what was in my ears. And most of the time I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. So I would have to I really didn't want to be disturbed. I really didn't want to be bothered. And that was my time. But the thing is I would spend 4 or 5 hours, 3 hours in the bathtub. And it's not a selfish thing to do that, but I needed to be there a little bit more for my daughter. And I wasn't, because I was focused so much on how that was making me feel, and it was bringing me relief and things like that. And I started kind of getting more addicted to that feeling of relaxation, of the stress kind of melting away, listening to the Calm app and YouTube and listening to guided meditations really kind of helped calm my mind and calm my thinking. And so therefore it was filling my cup up so that I would be able to, be a better mom for my daughter and be a better person for myself. And at the time I had no idea that these were, healing energy baths, right? I didn't find that out until probably like a year ago. And I still take those baths at least 3 days a week. I would love to take it every single morning, but not every morning do I make time to do that. Sometimes I stay in bed a little bit longer, or I'll get up and I'll do a meditation and I'll meditate a little bit longer, or I will put my shoes on and I will drive down to the beach. Sometimes I'll do like, a sunrise, and I'll sit on the pier or sit on the grass and I'll do a meditation. Those are the kind of things that I do now. But all of that brought me to this place. So without getting into so much of the, the garbage of how I was raised, and all of those things brought me to this place. All of those challenges, the challenges that I had with my mother, the challenges I had with my sister, the challenges of my brother passing away was the most devastating thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And, there was no assistance with that. There was no therapy with that. There was nothing. And he was only 18 months younger than me. So I can talk about it now to this day, but I still have downloads that are coming to me about his accident, about situations, conversations, things that I had blocked out. And those are coming to me. So when I'm doing my baths and I'm doing my meditations, a lot of stuff, like a lot of memories are coming back to me, and those are coming back to me so that I can heal them. I've stuffed them down, I guess, with having the childhood that I had. I was the oldest of 3, and I had a lot of responsibilities, more responsibilities that I was not ready for. But I did them anyways. And I was responsible for, making sure that after we get home from school that my brother and sister would get down and do their homework. I would have to get dinner ready. And it was just a lot. It was a lot for me to handle. And I sucked it up and I did it. But now, as a 52-year-old, during my meditations, all of this comes, and it makes me realize that I have to heal that inner child now. I have to heal that inner child because she didn't get that attention. She didn't get that love. I believe as a mom now, that little girl was completely neglected emotionally and mentally, because my mother couldn't emotionally be available. She's got her own traumas and her own things that she has to heal from, that she did not do. She may not even know how to do that. I've tried giving her some guidance, but she feels that she can still treat me the same way that she did as a child, and she can't. I've put some boundaries on her, and she chose to, cross that boundary anyways. So until she can get herself well, I've kind of moved myself away from that situation. And in that process, it caused me to lose one of my best friends, which is my sister, who's 6 years younger than me. We were very close, but that's okay. My mother and my sister have to figure things out for themselves. They have to figure out what their path is, and I'm figuring out what my path is. And you cannot heal in the same place that continues to hurt you. So with that being said, is that I never healed from all of those traumas. I never healed from the childhood and the way that I was treated, constantly moving. I probably was in 5 different elementary schools. I was in 2 different 7th grade. In 7th grade, I was in 2 different schools. 8th grade, I stayed at the same school. 9th grade, I went to 2 different high schools. And then 10th, 11th, and then I was in 1 high school at that point. So we moved a lot, and that's really hard for somebody who's shy, who has a difficult time, making friendships and making connections. I was very outgoing when I knew somebody and I was feeling comfortable with them, but I was a very shy person, but also very helpful. So I always want to help my classmates, right? And I wouldn't get my own work done, and I would get in trouble for that. And, report cards weren't all that great. And I look back at report cards, and they talk about Cindy's a daydreamer. She's helping other people. She's not getting her work done. And they're talking about it like it's a bad thing. When I read my report cards as a little girl, as an adult, when I was a little girl, I was looking at these going, what's bad about daydreaming? What's bad about that? Like, thinking about like how I would want life to be as a little girl, like what I would want to wear, what kind of dress, like be able to pick out my own clothes, and be able to go to a store that I wanted to go to instead of like Kmart, and Zodi's and some of these places you probably haven't even heard of. But that's what we had to do at the time, single mom working a couple jobs with 3 kids, we sucked it up, and that's what we had to do. And I helped out, and I did everything that I could do to help her. Although it wasn't my responsibility to do that, I see that now, and it really did affect me. So moving forward, I realize now that I'm healing all of those things, and I have a spiritual team that's with me. I have my spirit guides, I have my soul family, and my soul family is my dad, my grandmother, and my brother, and they're the energies that I feel a lot. But right now it's mostly my dad, who is basically a bonus. He was a bonus parent. He's not my biological, but he took care of us. He took on a woman with 3 kids, and he was amazing to us. He treated us so well. And really, really made an impact on our lives, and gave us things that we would never have had without him. And, a nice house and our own rooms. But before that, we lived very, very kind of poor, where we lived like in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and we all kind of shared a room. My mom would sleep on the couch, and, so some of those times were the best times, but at the same time, you tend to get neglected a little bit because there's other priorities. And then you get placed in front as a child to take care of siblings, and you have to kind of be the adult when you're not really old enough to be. So now when I take these healing baths, I'm getting all these memories of my childhood and things that I kind of just, I don't have time to deal with that because I have to do this. And now I kind of pushed, I kind of pushed some people away a little bit to protect my own mental health, because if they don't have the good intentions for me and they don't show good intentions, then I kind of back away a little bit, and I have to protect my own mental health so that I can have good intentions for myself. And I love them all. I love my family with all my heart. I really do. But we have all been estranged for a while since my grandmother passed, and everybody kind of just does their own little thing. And it's sad because I miss my cousins, I miss my aunts, and, you know, I miss my mom and my sister, of course. But we all have our own journey, and we all have to heal in our own way. And right now I kind of just need to do it on my own, and love to reconnect again with them eventually once I realize how I can handle that energy. Because it's unhealed energy, right? It's not anything that anybody in my family has started even to think about doing. My sister, on the other hand, she started, you know, going through a healing path, and I was assisting her and helping her with like what I started with and what helped me, and just kind of giving her and sharing my experience that I had with her, and it was kind of helping her too. So hopefully she's still on that path. But these healing baths, I keep getting these downloads and all these memories, and every time a memory comes up, I'm like, it's a shift for me. It helps me out a lot. And then I can think about that memory, feel what that feels like. Because, you know, when you're a child and something like that hits you, you don't know how to process that. You don't know how to let those things go. So you're like, you kind of just shove it down because you're not allowed to show that emotion. And so you have to dismiss it. And what that does, it just kind of like, it brings gut issues, right? It hurts because when we're grieving for somebody or for something, what hurts? Your stomach hurts, your heart hurts, right? Your heart, your chest. And when that hurts, your brain starts hurting, your head starts hurting, your eyes start hurting because you're crying, your throat hurts because you're trying to hold it back. I'm like, when there's grief in your life, that hurts your body. And so I've been letting that go. Like if a moment comes up or a memory comes up that kind of hits me, I cry it out, I let it go, I feel those feels. It's really important to feel that. And unfortunately, you kind of have to live that over again. But once you live it and you feel the feels, you're able to basically ask for it to go away and ask, you know, your higher power, which for me is God, to basically cast my care and let him handle it. And once I acknowledge it and I'm mindful of that and I'm aware of it and I'm aware of how it makes me feel, now I'm in a place where I can release it. And I go to the beach a lot. You can go to a place that brings you peace, and you just set that intention. Like sometimes I'll light an incense wherever I'm at. I light incense here. I light them at my house. I light them outside. I'll walk around sometimes a park with an incense and just kind of clearing the energy and clearing that. It's just really, really nice. And it's not an easy thing to do. Don't get me wrong. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a necessary thing to do in order to heal yourself internally. And when you take the healing baths, you know, you put like, it's not just a little bit of Epsom salt. I put like a cup of Epsom salt, and I put like a half a cup of baking soda, and I put the doTERRA essential oils I use. And I soak in that tub till the water gets cold, and then I add more. So, I mean, at any given time, I can spend an hour to 3 hours in the bathtub. And if I'm not in any hurry and I don't have to be anywhere, I'll spend as much time as I'm being called to do. And that is all healing. That is all internal healing. And so what I've done is I put a picture of myself, a 3-year-old picture of myself on my dresser, and I talked to that little girl, and I am currently healing that little girl now. I'm currently giving that little girl love. I'm giving her the attention that she wants. I'm teaching her that she is valued. I'm teaching her that she is worthy. I'm teaching her that she's enough. That, you know, I don't think criticizing thoughts about myself anymore. I don't judge myself anymore. I don't call myself stupid anymore. I used to get really upset, like just dropping my car keys. I'm like, you know, damn it, Cindy, why you can't just, you know, wait, that was a memory. That was like things that I heard growing up. So I stopped myself, and then now I don't. Now what happens if I drop the keys? I'm like, good job, Sin, because you would have gotten mad at yourself like 4 years ago. You would have like, you know, somebody cutting you off in the on the streets. You'd be like, you know, road rage, not road rage physically or actions, but with my mouth. I would just go like, what an idiot. Why would you do that? Now, come on over. I'll slow down for you. You come on over. You can come on over. If somebody cuts me off, I don't give it 2 seconds time. I don't engage in it. People are who they are. You can't change that. I can't control the person cutting me off. I can control how I react or respond to it, right? So I choose what brings me peace is not to respond to it in a negative way. And I let those go. And the more that I practiced that, the more peace that I got. So every single day, like I break a glass, I would have said, darn it, Cindy, you're such an idiot. Like, why would you do that? You need to be more careful. Well, those are the words that I heard as a child. So those are not the words that I want to tell this little girl anymore, because I have to remember that there's that little girl inside that is healing. Even though I'm a 52-year-old woman, I have to heal that internal child. And so I nurture her. I love her. I talk to her all the time. And my dad, my bonus dad, is helping me. And my brother was 20 years old when he passed away in a car accident. He just turned 20 and I was 21, and I'd be turning 22. This was October. November he passed, so I'd be turning 22 in July. So I was very young when that happened, and it's taken me, he's been gone like 30 years since 1991. And the other really, I wouldn't say it's a cool thing, but one thing that I didn't realize, what was cool when I did realize it, is that I believe in angel numbers. All for probably most of my adult life, I would look at a clock, and especially a digital clock, and I would see 716. 716, 716, 716 all the time. And I would look through the Bible, and I was trying to find out what the verse was for 716, and there's all kinds of them, right? And I wasn't resonating with any of it. I didn't know why I kept seeing 716, and 716 is my birthday. And it wasn't until I went through my spiritual awakening until I realized that there are angel numbers out there. And pretty much everybody's birthday is an angel number. Pretty much there's a lot of numbers that are angel numbers. I have an angel number book, which is really cool. And it kind of explains what every angel number is. My brother passed away on 11/11/91. He got in his accident on 11/10, late on 11/10. And he was had a helicopter ride to the UCI. And once he got there, and they did emergency surgery, and they cut him open, and they couldn't stop the bleeding, so he bled eternally. And so they called him. They pronounced him gone. And I didn't find out till the next morning, which really upset me, because I feel like if a family member like that passes away, that you should be calling the people. Like, you know, my mother should have called me. I was 21 years old. I wasn't home at the time. I was staying somewhere else. And they didn't call me until the next morning. So I kind of felt left out of that. And I was upset with her about that for a long time. But I've had to get over that, and I had to forgive that. Coming from my dad, like what I'm hearing now is that, you know, they didn't want to disturb my night. They wanted me to have a peaceful night, and they were going to deal with it as parents, you know, and they told me the next morning. So that 1111 number has been a huge number for me, and I've been seeing it all my life. 1111, 111, 1111. And it wasn't until I started taking more of these baths and more of these downloads, more of me connecting with God, connecting with universe, connecting with myself, my inner self, my higher self, that it came to me that, wow, my brother went out on the most powerful angel number there is. He made a statement. He could have passed away on 1110, but he didn't. He passed away on 1111. So 1111 is a big deal to me. It has a lot of meaning to me. Not only with his death, but because it's the most powerful meditation or angel number out there, right? So I have taken my downloads and the messages that I get, and I've been healing myself with them. So more recently, I did like a body healing massage, which was really cool. She touched me in places that my body's never been touched. And what I mean by that, like in your glutes, there's pressure points, there's places on your body that normal massage therapists don't touch. So it was incredible. I had an incredible experience. It was very relaxing. I basically nodded off. I think I might have woke up snoring. But coming out of that, I went home, and that was on a Tuesday. I had the massage on a Tuesday night. I went home on on Tuesday night. I went to bed. I showered it all off, went to bed. I was exhausted. And I got up the next morning, went to work, and then I came home. And when I came home, I'm turning the TV down. So I have a flat screen TV, and my living room is big. So my couch is basically in the middle of the living room, and then I have something in the back, like shelves and stuff. And then I have the entertainment center with the TV, and I'm probably only maybe 4 feet away from the TV now because the speaker of the TV is in the back. And I kind of live off near the freeway, so you get freeway sound, right? And so I close my sliding glass door, and I always have the TV on highest at 80 is the highest volume. And I kept turning it down. I'm like, gosh, it's so loud. How come it's so loud today? How come it's so loud today? And I'm like turning it down. And I kept doing this. And I don't watch a lot of TV, so I did it a couple of times, and then I went and I shared this experience with a friend of mine. I told her like, I don't know. It's like, all of a sudden I can hear better, you know? She's like, wow, that's really fascinating. After I told her the story, she goes, you must have had like some trauma when you were a child with your ears. I was like, wait a second. I had chronic ear infections when I was a child. Is it possible that this healing massage could have healed a trauma that I had that affected my hearing from when I was a child, and that's been carrying with me all my days, all my years? Absolutely. So I will be going back to that massage therapist. But in the meantime, 2 weeks later, I went to a Reiki practitioner, and I had a Reiki session done. And this was really cool because I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I've only had like 2 Reiki sessions done before, and that was years ago. And I was never into energy healing and things like that. I was more into nutrition and weight loss and sustainable weight loss and things like that. I wasn't into mindset. I wasn't thinking about you need to change your mindset. I didn't think there was anything wrong with my mindset, right? So I go to this Reiki and, you know, she's got the Palo Santo. I can smell that right away. And we sit down and I'm on the edge of the bed, just like this bed here. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. Okay. And she was telling me to breathe, and you breathe out, but you're breathing in, but your abdomen goes out, and then you breathe through your chest. So I'll do it. You hold it. And she had me do that like several times, and it was very uncomfortable. I've never did breathing that way. So you're breathing in through your abdomen, but when you breathe in, your abdomen goes out, and then you do that, and then you breathe in through your chest, and you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you let it out. It starts with an H, but I'm going to remember the name of the breath work. Anyways, she had me doing that, and I'm doing this sitting on the edge of the table, and I'm like, this is extremely uncomfortable for me. I don't want it. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm not saying it to her. She's quiet. She's just watching me, and she's assisting me with the breathing, right? And through my mind is like, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like this breathing. It actually kind of hurts. I don't like it. But don't stop, Sin, because you're here for a reason. You're here with her. She's teaching you this breathing technique for a reason. You need to suck it up. It's going to be the best for you. She knows what's the best for you right now, because she's an energy healer and she can feel my energy. She knows what's going on. She's intuitive. She knows that I need this breathing. So I trust her, and I'm doing the breathing. So eventually she's like, great, you got the breathing down. Let's lay down. So I lay down and I'm continuing that breathing. I continued the breathing the entire 90 minutes because it became so comfortable for me that I didn't want to stop. But listen to this. When I lay down on the table, I laid down on a table just like this. I had my head, and she had something propped under my legs. And I'm doing this breath work. Sorry, that happens all the time. I am doing this breath work, and guess what happens? My fingers go numb. My fingers are tingling. My legs are tingling. My arms are tingling. My whole body starts tingling. Never felt this sensation ever in my life. Tingling, 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 tingling. And I'm continuing doing the breath. And she's talking to me, okay, you know, she's putting her hands around my head, and she's doing her Reiki thing, and she's doing the energy thing. My eyes are closed. I have like an eye mask over, and then she puts a towel over that so you don't open your eyes at all. And she's doing her thing. And as she's doing her thing, my whole body is tingling. It is literally the most amazing sensation I've ever felt in my life. And she's asking me a question like, do you have a dad or a father figure that's passed? And I said, yes. She said, normally I'd be doing our guided meditation at this point, but I think I have a message for you. I said, yes. She goes, that father figure is here. And the father figure was in the room. The only father figure I've ever had in my life is my bonus dad. And he basically, the message was, he was proud of me. And that he supports everything that I'm doing in healing myself. He supports me in pulling away from toxic people that are continuing to hurt me and continuing to think that they can treat me the same way, and they can't, and continuing to cross my boundaries. And he tells me to keep going, and that he's with me, and he's never going to leave my side. Isn't that amazing? He was my saving grace as a 12-year-old girl. Growing up as a teenager, thank God I had him, because he treated me really well. He knew that, you know, he loved my mother, and they had a good relationship. They didn't argue. They bickered a little bit because she's a naggy kind of person. But he was my saving grace. He kind of stuck up for me. I snuck out of the house once, and he taught me a really good lesson by locking me out, and I had to knock to get in and explain to him where I was at. Let's just say I never snuck out of the house again. I was 16 years old, and I was so afraid of having to do that, but it was a great lesson, you know, because I never snuck out again. He taught us a lot of really good things, and he was there with me in one of my most vulnerable moments, and healing myself. And he's with me now. He's with me everywhere I go. And it brought me a lot of comfort knowing that. And to have my spiritual team with me and guiding me, being able to attune to that and listen to, you know, I close my eyes and I'll be still with myself to the point where I'm so relaxed that you're not thinking about anything else except for your breathing and your awareness. Your awareness is where you're at, your breathing, the environment that you're in. So I always put myself in a safe environment, usually my bedroom or, you know, the den here. I call this the den. The unicorn den is amazing. It's very magical, right? So I like the den. So I'll get in this bed. I also have a body wrap that's amazing. It's like a sleeping bag. And I'll put myself in there and crank that heat up, and it feels so good on the body. And I put my headphones in, and I just kind of just melt away. I can do that at home. At home, I'm meditating, I'm sitting down, and I'll do my stretches. I use a meditation pillow I love. The reason I use that is because sitting flat sometimes on the floor is a little bit more uncomfortable, but when you're on a meditation pillow that's about 4 inches tall, it lifts I sit on it and it lifts me up a little bit. So then I can sit Indian style a lot easier. I can get up a lot easier. And then I use that meditation pillow under my back and like under my butt. And I'll do stretches. I'll put my legs up all the way, and I'll do different types of stretches and, you know, stretch them out this way and stretch them up this way. And I do really cool, love the stretches. It feels so great on my back and my neck and things. So when that's all happening, it feels like I'm opening up, my energy flows. My energy is flowing, and my mind is calm, and it allows me to receive. And when that happens, I get all kinds of cool information. So after I get done with that, I do some journaling, and downloads that I get, I'll just journal them down. Sometimes it comes so fast that I can't write fast enough. So I kind of have to it's scribble a lot of the time. But I look back at my journals and the things that I wrote and the things that I manifested even a year ago is happening now. So that is like one of the best parts of my journey, is coming into the awareness of my gifts, still learning them. I have a couple mentors that explain things to me. But it is extremely helpful. I listen to YouTube every day. I listen to guided meditations, sometimes unguided meditation. I'll just listen to the music, a lot of Reiki music, a lot of singing bowls, Tibetan beats. I love the African beats, the drum beats. A lot of times when you're doing breath work, the drum beats really help because you can do the breath work to the beat of the drum. And you can get really fast, you can go really slow. So doing the simple breath work and meditation hand in hand is great, and simple stretching. So I incorporate that into my coaching as well. And give those modalities to my clients to teach them how to bring the awareness to themselves, and being still with themselves. And there's, you know, ladies that are like, I don't have time for that. I'm rushing here, I'm rushing there. And I said, well, one of the things I had to do, because I was in the same boat, is just sit in my car for 5 or 10 minutes before I go inside the house. You can do it down the street, you can do it in a parking lot, and then go home. If I pulled up into the driveway and people saw me and I was sitting in my car, they would come out. They don't wait for me to come in. They would come out like, what are you doing? What are you, like, you know? So I would go to a park down the street, or I'd park in a parking lot and do some, you know, just get yourself down. The other thing you can do too is, if you have a commute, put some music on in the radio. I like I said, I use YouTube. I have a huge playlist. Listening to music, whatever your favorite music is that you know is going to get you upbeat, kind of forget about, you know, some of the issues or challenges or struggles that you had during the day. Trying not to allow other people to control your emotions. So you have a really, like, maybe you have a really annoying coworker. A lot of times, you know, that happens, and it's really hard to work with those type of people, and they tend to affect us. So we don't want to take those things home with us and take it out on our family. So it's important to put on your favorite music. It doesn't matter what the music is, just listen to music and start singing. Sing in the car. It rises your vibrations. Your body recognizes it, and when you sing, your body feels it. Like it's like a cymbal, right? Or like this. I love my singing bowls. This sound right here can change somebody's entire mood, can change their entire day. Just a frequency. And I love them. I have a few. But back to bringing peace back to your life, taking that information, the struggles, processing it so you don't hang on to that. So those are the few of the modalities and tools that I've learned along the way that help me. You know, there's chakras, there's energy flows, there's meridians that go through our bodies that we want to have balance and an alignment. And when that's all in alignment, everything just seems to flow the right way. When we put out kindness and love, unconditional love, and we support other people, it does come back to us. If we're putting out anger and hate, that's going to come back to us, and it's going to make us more angry and hate more, right? Ego, there's nothing wrong with having ego as long as you're using ego in the right way. So if you're using ego, you know, to hurt people, obviously that's not the right way. I don't really like ego. I did have an ego. It wasn't the best ego because I was a bit cocky and I had a lot of confidence, like, you know, especially in my work environment. I don't need to give discounts. You know, we have a waiting list, and I just felt like maybe I didn't treat people the best because of my cockiness and my ego. And I always call the ego the devil because it's our ego that gets us in trouble. It's our ego a lot of times that we make decisions based off of, like, I'm going to pound my chest and I'm not going to let this happen, or, you know, that doesn't really get you anywhere. I've learned now that if it doesn't really serve me in a peaceful way, I just kind of remove myself from that. And it's really helped me a lot. So my life was so chaotic and so crazy before, and I've removed all of that. I used to be in a group text message with my mother, my sister, my niece, my daughter, and these text messages would be coming in all day long, and you could just feel the energy from that. My mother generally is venting, we'll use that word, venting about her situation that she's in. Granted, she did choose to be in that situation, and there's a lot of times where I would engage with that and saying, you know, something more positive, and it just didn't really go anywhere. So I kind of just stopped replying and engaging in some of those. if she would ask a question or my sister was going back and forth, maybe I'd put a comment, or at the end of the day, I would, kind of catch up from that, and I would respond to what I felt I wanted to respond to. Sometimes when a text message is being sent, it doesn't make sense to respond to that like 5 hours later. So I would just respond, hey, just catching up. The long story is that once it went away, once we had our falling out and we decided that, like, they decided they didn't want to talk to me, and I decided I didn't want to really like talk to them right now, because we're all going through our own journeys. And I think it's important that we kind of separate from that. My life has gotten a lot more peaceful. I'm not picking up on the energies of my mother. She's a very negative person. She's very criticizing. She has a lot of judgments about people and a lot of opinions, and they don't come out very nicely because she's unhealed. And that I'm very sensitive with that, and it takes a toll on me. So we kind of got rid of the text messaging. Now that things are like out of my life, I don't live in the house where all the craziness is at. I no longer have communication with my mother right now and my sister. And I have been focused. I've been focused on my business. I've been able to do all the things that I need to do. And I'm on top of it. My head is more clear. And going through therapy, we realized that I was trauma bonded to my mother. And that was never going to go away until I severed that relationship and started taking care of my own mental health, because I have no doubt that she loves me and she has love for me. She can't say that, but she is unhealed, so she doesn't think about my mental health when she's taking things out on me. So I have to push it all aside, take care of my own mental health. And right now my circle is very low, very small. It's a very lonely place, but I'm very happy. I'm probably the happiest and the healthiest I've ever been in my life. And I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't change the struggles. I wouldn't change all the issues and then the struggles that I had as a child. I was placed here to be part of all this life as a human and experience this life experience. And it brought me to a place where now I'm healing. I'm a lot better. My mindset is better. My body is better. And I'm able to take the day's energies and to be able to cleanse them once I get home. So to do that after the end of your day, if you go home and you light an incense or a Palo Santo or even like sage, they cleanse the air, they cleanse the energy, and you just basically set an intention with that, like any energies that no longer serve me or belong to me are no longer welcome to be attached to me. Same thing with your jewelry and things like that. You want to cleanse with cold water. You can put them in the moonlight or the sunlight and cleanse them. I have a salt lamp, a Himalayan salt lamp like I do back there. That's a plug-in, but I have one on my dresser at home. And I'll put after I cleanse everything with cold water, I'll set it around my salt lamp, and it energizes my crystals again. And I do have a lot of crystals. In fact, what I have in my pocket here is tiger's eye and rose quartz. And I carry different ones with me every day, but these are my favorite ones. And I have a clear quartz too. So it helps keeping me grounded. So hopefully that helps. I just wanted to make a video and put it out there for those who may need to hear it. And if you have questions, feel free to comment. Feel free to share if you feel like this will help somebody else. And I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful that I've learned what I've learned so that I can continue to help others without being a people pleaser. I am who I am. I'm not going to change that. I love who I am. I'm an empath. I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm a light worker. I have a lot of talents. I do lash extensions. I do healing skin therapies. The coaching is all about sustainable growth. And what I mean by that is like I'm always learning new things, always growing. And living in the world that we live in now, there's always going to be healing that needs to be done. Whether, a situation at work or with family or even on the freeway, we're going to get traumas and things are going to bother us. And we just have to learn how to not react, to pause and process that and release that. And it's not an easy thing, but it is a practice. And if I can't reiterate enough, YouTube has been an amazing resource for me. There's a lot of really good people, and you can just plug in like guided meditation and just listen to one until you find one that's comfortable for you. Everybody's voice is different. There's men, there's women, there's guided meditations. They have accents. There's different people all the way around the world with different cultures. And I connect with so many of them. And I have a huge library of the ones that I follow. And other light workers, other tarot readers. Tarot readers are amazing because they read the cards, and if something that you resonate with, it's a message for you. And so I tend to listen to tarot almost on a daily basis. It kind of helps me stay on the straight and narrow, like, okay, well, that makes total sense. And maybe that's something that I should be doing, or it will kind of tell me like things to avoid. There could be people out there that hate me, that wish that I'm not successful, that I'm not doing well. And that's okay. We just ask Archangel Michael or Saint Michael to come in and protect us and bring his energy and bring his aura in. And anybody that's, sending hate or ill words or thoughts or actions towards us, we just ask, Saint Michael to return those back to sender and return to sender and protect us. So it's definitely a daily practice. It's something that I've experienced myself, and I feel like if there are people who need assistance or who need guidance or are uncertain of why they're going through certain things, there's a lot of scenarios, a lot of different perspectives that can help you, especially, seeking somebody who's already gone through it. You can get a lot of answers. And the best answers really are to just be still with yourself and go within yourself and ask your higher self what you're supposed to be doing, what they want you to do with your life. And it's interesting because you will get those answers. You may not get them right away. It's a practice. And once you settle the mind, and if you're meditating and your mind tends to go somewhere else, just try and be aware of that and bring your mind back to your state of breathing and taking consciousness of the breath that you're taking, the inhaling, the exhaling, the holding of the breath, and the sensations that your body is going through. And you just focus on that. And it's amazing how that happens and how that works. So hopefully this helps. And if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Please share this if you have anybody that would like to, that could use this help. That's all I'm here for, is to help and offer guidance. So again, I hope this finds you well. I hope you're happy, you're healthy, and you have peace in your life, and you have unconditional love. Just know that you are enough and that you matter. Know that you are worthy, and just know your worth. Healthy boundaries are important to protect your mental health and to stick to those healthy boundaries. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It means you're selfish for yourself. It's not being selfish towards others. And you will get that when you start spending time on your own and doing things on your own, and you're developing boundaries that they can't cross, that they were able to, do before. You will lose friends, you'll lose family members, and it's hurtful, but it's worth it because you're protecting yourself. And anybody who has good intentions for you will be your cheerleader, will want you to be healthy, will want you to practice self-love, will want you to meditate so that you have peace and happiness and harmony in your life. So anybody that tells you any different is probably not your person. And a lot of times these people are the closest to us. And we have to let them, sometimes we have to let them go. But I'm not asking you or telling you to let anybody go. I'm just giving direction on or experiences that I've gone through myself by letting these people go. I love them from a distance, and like my mom is not going to ever leave my life, right? But she kind of abandoned me in a sense because I won't bend my boundaries now at this point, and she won't even talk to me. And I've sent her some inspirational things that she won't even respond. And that's okay. She's dealing with her own, and I had to let that go. It doesn't hurt me. The EDMR is really helped me a lot, and I suggest that for anybody. I suggest therapy if anybody needs it. Coaching is nice because, for me, when I'm talking to another coach, I tend to resonate with them a little bit more because they're more like-minded than me. My therapist is very like-minded. She's very mindful. She practices yoga. She practices meditation. She has a lot of spirituality about her. And so I'm able to connect with her. And I think that it's been really important, and it's made a lot of progress for me. So I always encourage finding a good therapist if you need one, or you can start with a coach. If I'm not the right coach, then I know, a couple other coaches that could, you could check out. But I just wanted to put this video out just to help y'all and give some guidance and give some experience and kind of share a little bit about myself as well. We're not all perfect. We're never going to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect, but what we can do is be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And that's connecting with our higher self and connecting with our higher power and changing our circumstances to protect our mental health and bring peace, happiness, and unconditional love to ourselves, and realize that we are valued, that we are worthy, we are enough, and change those old conditionings and our mindset to be healthier. So again, I hope this finds you well, and much love and light.